What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with, well, probably a blast from the past. If you've ever played the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, video games, then you know this retrospective is going to have me base this next one on Yu-Gi-Oh! The next Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. And this one is very much so RPG based. And it has a lot of RPG elements to it. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards, known as Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle of the no Dual Kingdom Legend, as it's called. And this is probably one of the most iconic parts of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise because it takes advantage of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters series. In everything for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters Battle City arc. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into it because previous to this recording, I did record and it was almost 30 minutes long. And I know some of you don't have the attention span to want to sit for a 30-minute conversation. So, to basically sum it up, everything in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga and anime is loosely used for this game's plot. Then, once you get into the plot of this game entirely, you're then able to battle Merrick Ishtar at the end of it. There are a lot of plot holes, there are a lot of things that you have to do in order to encounter this game, but ultimately, it's still an amazing game. If you do want to see a large portion of it, please go check out my live stream session from me playing this game. It's actually still on my archives channel. So, this game itself was released in Japan February 6th of 2002. It was then later on released November 4th of 2003 in the NA in South America and Central America. Then for the EU and EU regions, it was released in uh, March 6th of 2004. So that was actually not too far after we got Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004 here in North America. So yeah, there's a large amount of things that changed within this game. No, literally, there is a large amount of things that changed in this game because it tries to resemble the Yu-Gi-Oh! Plot from the anime and from the manga, but it does a surplus of things that it normally just doesn't do. Trust me, there's a lot that goes on in this game. It really is, and there's a large portion of things that would change to fit its whole setup. But it's basically Battle City. You and Yugi and Joey enter the tournament. You see a lot of the iconic characters from it. There's a lot of plot changes that go on. Some NPCs you may end up missing because the game tries to throw you into different areas of it that they want you to stay on a it's like a RPG, but you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, where you still play the game, you have opponents to play. While some opponents are locked, unfortunately, behind certain events, or some of them you cannot rematch because of plot intentions, there are a lot of other duelists you can still play if you want to max out all the cards in the game. I think there's a total of 1,230 cards in the game itself. Don't quote me on that because I have not played the game in a while. And it's a lot of different changes from the original game. It really is. It takes a lot of inspiration from its game mechanics of the older Yu-Gi-Oh games, like the ones on the Game Boy Color, the ones that were on. It's actually, yeah. It takes it Dartle Stories and Forbidden Memories, in which the system of gameplay is definitely a lot different. So, what's different about the gameplay? So, let's go through the lineup here. It tries to take a Pokemon's advantage of this game, where there are a roulette of the elements. This element beats that element beats that element. And there are, funny enough, two different sets of the elements, where the first elemental ring is fire beats um, grass beats wind beats earth beats electricity beats water beats fire. So that's that whole circle there. Then the other circle, which is probably where most people would definitely get confused, because in the original Yu-Gi-Oh card game, there's only 6 attributes. Well, 7 when you count Divine. But in this game, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are at least 11 attributes. elements in this game. So just like the originals that I just told you, fire, water, wind, earth. Then they add electricity. They add, um, they add electricity, and then they add light, dark. Well, light, and then there's shadow, fiend, and dream that get added to it. Yes, I know. Oh, and forest. Okay, so there's 10. So there's at least 10 of these, and they're all circumvented around that. Now, here's the clash out between light, dark, fiend, and shadow. Shadow beats light, light beats fiend beats dream, but dream beats shadow. Yeah. And from what some people have discovered, the dream attribute that was used in this game may have inspired the illusion attribute or the illusion type in the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, since the illusion type circumvents around some of Yu-Gi's iconic monsters, or some of the iconic monsters that were in previous video games that were dedicated to the attribute of Dream. Now, which is a really cool thing. Some cards in this game, I will tell you this now, they are not all effect monsters, because Yu-Gi-Oh has a large way of effect monsters, but we have a fuck ton of normal monsters. Well, to be more precise, the normal monsters in this game aren't all originally normal monsters. Some of them are effect monsters. And then there were normal monsters in the game who became effect monsters. Now, some of them range from changing the field to the field spell. There are some who can get rid of monsters. Hell, there are even some like Duron who can multiply themselves and create another copy of themselves. So you can use that later on in the duel. The tribute factor of this game is something really, really good, where you contribute the monsters off first and then activate a spell like Dark Hole to wipe out the field and then play your new monster. Yeah, we know. It definitely takes the original rulings of the game to a whole new level. But it helps you out with a lot of strategies as well. And because of how these games fluctuate, if you know which opponent you're going to be facing, you can build your deck around what type or what attribute your deck is and then build around it. Do be careful though, because some of the NPCs will have monsters to counteract those monsters. Trust me, I've run into a lot of them. Just because Mako runs water doesn't mean he's not running some electric monsters or some earth monsters to counteract that are aqua type or sea serpent, or fits into those categories. Now, in addition to that, there are some other things that were added as well. Fusion monsters, they do not exist in the game. They are now either normal monsters or they are effect monsters. Then, flip monsters do not exist. Most of them are normal monsters as well. Equipped spells or normal spells that power up cards, they do activate, and then they get added onto your monster. And how they get added onto your monster is that there'll be a little icon that says 1, and then they'll change to 2, then 3. That indicates that, hey, these are those monsters, and they're going to, reflect, the changes that your monster increases, whether it's a power. If it's positive bonus, then it's a 1. If it's a negative, then it's like a negative 1. And then so on and so forth. Field spells are completely different. They will activate, but they change the terrain like they did in Battle City. And they actually look a lot more detailed in this game than anything. And I love how they look in this game. The artwork for this game is gorgeous. And I'm glad Yu-Gi-Oh! The 7 Trials of Glory World Championship 2005 takes advantage of it. More so, I think they take advantage of the Feet of Destruction's look and how that game looks, because it's basically just the sequel game to this one. Now, from there is deck capacity. So, deck capacity is basically, at the start of the game, I think you have like 2,000 deck capacity, and throughout your duels, you gain more deck capacity the more you encounter duelists. The more your deck capacity increases, the more chances of you fitting in cards in your deck, because each card has a cost. And what is that cost? Not tribute cost. No, they have a cost of being in your deck. So they arm your deck with a lot of low level monsters, or are like monsters who have really good stats but really like shitty lineups and stuff. It's very weird, but yeah, that's how this game works. And so monsters like Gemini Elf and Force Raider are probably going to take you to mid to late game to get the deck capacity to get them, unless you use cheat codes. Or you just grind out a lot of opponents and you somehow manage to at least fit one or two of them in your deck. Then from there, there's the spell cards, the trap cards, some trap cards which are exclusive to the game. There are magic cards that are ritual cards. Yes, the ritual monsters. Let's talk about them for a second, because they're going to be a major part of the game's plot as well. Because you are going to encounter some that are ritual monsters. You're going to encounter ritual monsters in this game, or decks that are using ritual monsters. Now, what do you do with them exactly? Well, you need the ritual spell and the corresponding monster that the card says to require for the tribute summon. A good example of this is Magician of Black Chaos. He's going to require you to have monsters whose level totals 8. But you still need to have at least Dark Magician in order for the tribute summon. Now, this is basically remnants to how the game itself transpired with the anime, where certain monsters were used for certain monster summons. Like, you need Grand Tiki Elder, Mid-Child, the Four-Faced Beast, in order to help you summon, what's that one monster's name? What's that guy? Oh, Mass Beast Desgardius? Or I think it's Mass Beast, the ritual monster. Yeah, so you need all of them to help you get to that monster. And yeah, I said it. I've said this before. There is a large portion of things that change because, well, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! There's gonna always be these changes. Hell, Cosmo Queen, the normal monster, she ain't no normal monster no more. She's now a ritual monster. She gets the divine attribute, and what else is it that she will do? Yeah, she gets the divine attribute, and then I believe she. Oh, you need what is it? Divine Queen's Oath, and you need the monster Queen of Autumn Leaves. It's already a tribute monster. Oh, and they have to be on the field in order for you to do the tribute. So you have to have the monsters on the field. Then you have to tribute summon you have to tribute the monsters. Then once you tribute the monsters, then you're able to then activate the ritual spell to then play the monster. So I believe the first ritual monster, if you're playing it just off of normal means, is the Mask of Light and Darkness. And then that gives you the Cursed Mask, which is still a monster we have not seen in this game. But in order to summon it, you need, what is that monster? Oh, Mask of Darkness. Who, yes, it's in the game. It's probably one of your best standing monsters, because how this game's mechanics work, a lot of the low level monsters tend to be the best options of utility, because they have low deck costs to be put into the deck. They also have bare minimum the weak stats, right? But in this game, those weak stats are actually good stats. So if you can't get to monsters like Gemini Elf and stuff, I talked about this in my video, where even if you can't get to monsters like Gemini Elf in them, you still have these monsters who fit in to be really, really good, walls or stand-in cards, because of how the game's strategies and style works. So these are really, really good options that I highly recommend. Cards like Root Water and Aqua Element, because they're all water attribute, but they have low stats. You can use Waru, the water attribute warrior monster. Mystic Lamp isn't really good. It's just there for tribute water, but it's light attribute, so it can help you take out some of the fiends. Yugi and Kaiba's deck definitely do clash, because it's funny that because Blue Eyes is light attribute, that Yugi's Dark Magician is Shadow, and Shadow beats light. Oh yeah, they make sure of that part. Even though Dark Magician has more attack than Blue Eyes. I mean, less attack than Blue Eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want the Yu-Gi fans coming after. I don't want the Yu-Gi-Oh enthusiasts coming after me. I'm sorry. Even though Dark Magician has less attack than Blue Eyes, this game definitely was in favor of Yu-Gi beating Kaiba at any point. Or you using Dark Magician to beat Blue Eyes, because Blue Eyes is light and Shadow beats light. Yeah, because they took the Dark attribute and then cut it into two different types. The Fiend and the Shadow. So, yeah, there's a lot of cards in it. A lot of cards from the anime, a lot of cards from the manga. That unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, didn't get a release because they would be really broken. Like Wire Trap Hole, Jesus, it's broken as hell. Bear Trap Hole, I think because of its artwork. Cards like a House of Adhesive Tape in them are still in there. Infinite Dismissal, which has a different effect. A lot of the cards have different effects now as well. Um, Catering to how older Yu-Gi-Oh games focused on them as well. Then from there, the plot and stuff is crazy. It definitely is just Battle City, but a lot of the key moments, you're in those key moments. Like, um, Yugi and Joey's duels have been stretched out, and you get involved in a lot of them. Like, you can duel against Mako, you can duel against Weevil, you can duel against Rex, Esperoba, you can duel against Bones. But I believe those are the ones who give you your locator cards. But I believe one of your last locator cards comes from dueling one of the ghouls, and I can't remember which one, sadly. But it's just the longevity of these are how a large portion of the game fluctuates things and where things eventually will pan out. So, because of how these things themselves pan out, there isn't much of no, there's a lot of ways you can, get your deck capacity up, get your dueling levels up, and just, overall get things for your deck itself. Because you can duel as many of your opponents. And then there's the anti-system. Let's talk about the anti-system. So just like in the anime, um, they were dueling for, like, the rarest card. Like, you give up your rarest card to your opponent if you lose. So while many of them did stay true to it, many people still had their rarest cards back. Like, um, what was it? Weevil had Insect Queen still. Mai had her Harpie's Feather Duster, and all of that. Because, they all eventually lost their games. But I think after the tournament, they ended up getting their cards back. I don't know how. Don't ask me why. Or how it was possible. But hey, they did. And because of how this game itself fluctuates, you're still able to get many of their cards, even if they haven't given you the card. Um, because there's also the machine, the card machine is in the game. So to access the card machine, you have to go to the card shop, and you put the card's number into the game. But in order to get the card itself, because they don't just outright give it to you, you have to use your DP or dual points to get the card from the shop. So you talk to the shop guy, and then he gives you the chance to buy the cards. There's tons of cards. Every card in the game will exist in the card shop. At certain points of the game, after certain amounts of duelists and I think locator cards and how the game progresses, every card will be available to you except for the Egyptian gods, because the Egyptian gods are plot points. You can fit them into the deck, and I do believe at a certain point they're able to be in the deck, but they do not have. Um, I think there's cheat codes to put them in, but even then, I heard some of those cheat codes mess up the game to where, because of how the game itself is supposed to plot, they're only supposed to be plot MacGuffins. Like most RPGs and stuff. But yeah, it's a large array of things there with it. The duels are amazing. Um, there's a lot of things that are pulled over from other games, and especially because of just how everything goes. There's no, because like I told you guys, there's no fusion cards in this game. So your field is basically your field, your opponent's field. It's the 5 squares. 5 for the spells and traps, 5 for the monsters. When you press the pause menu in the duel, it will show you um, your life points, your opponent's life points, the last card in your opponent's graveyard, and then sacrifice, tribute, switch position, attack, and end turn. So it's very few options. So you can't look through like your opponent's stuff. You have to look at the deck online and everything if you want to copy their deck. Or and then how to obtain the cards, which is easy. You just duel a whole bunch of people, and you ante up cards, and you get cards. Some antes may be a little less than lower, depending on what you ante can generate things, but it's very hard to generate. And some cards that are iconic to the game, you're gonna have a hard period of time to get them, unless you get them from the duel shop. The duel shop, I believe, does restock cards after a while. It's like every couple of duels or so. I'm not too sure. And then even in some plots are actually still added. Some cards are added from like the iconic duels, like Kaiba's Blue Eyes. The alternate artworks are there. There is no censorship. You're gonna see titty. There's titty and more titty than titty. So yeah, they did not, and it's crazy though because you thought they would censor the cards, but it didn't. I think that's why the early days collection is rated T now, because there's a lot of suggestive artwork in it, and especially in Refuse of Destruction and the Sacred Cards, because those were card games that had all the booby and all the death, and some of the cards artworks were not changed from their OCG versions. So yeah. Now my overall experience with this game was I own the physical card. I've owned that game since like 2005, 2006. Um, and then I have it digitally because emulator. That's how I played it on my live stream. I streamed that game for a few hours for a total of 3 streams. It was a very fun experience. I didn't play it traditionally, like grinding through it like most people would. I Since I own so many of the cards already, I just did that. I put in the cards that I wanted. Then I turned around, built my deck. I broke the deck capacity because there's a code to do it. Um, got all the DP as well, so I never had any loss of DP. And then I just went through there and just steamrolled throughout the game. It was still fun though because I got to still experience the game itself. I pointed out where certain locations were, certain events. If you wanted to get through certain events, this is where you go to do such. It's still a really fun time. And do I highly recommend this game? Yes, I do. Because if you want an RPG based Yu-Gi-Oh game, this is where you start. Refuse of Destruction is a game I still have not played. Or maybe I think I played a little bit of it, but I still want to play the game overall. And then it's got a lot of body, a lot of depth. The story itself can drag on depending on how well or how long you want to experience it. So it's really just up to you. But it's still, like I said, it's a really good game. It's a really good lineup of things. I highly recommend it if you want just a fun experience with Battle City, because it definitely takes its anchor from the Battle City arc. That's which is still milked to hell and back, even in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And God, it is. So yeah, that's that wave of it. And especially because back in December they released the last bit of Speed Duel's product for the time being, which was the 8 duelists who participated in the Battle City Finals. Yugi, Kaiba, Joey, Merrick, um, Odeon, Ishizu, Bakura, and Mai. So they had decks built around them, and then they even included cards from to help build up the decks if you're playing in Speed Duel tournaments. Cards from Noah and the Big Five and all of that were added into the game as well. So, yeah, definite wave of things. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end the video because I think this is a good point to end the video. It's almost 25 minutes long. So, it's a standing ovation to this really good game that if you are getting the early days collection, it will be in the collection as well. So, with that said, let me know in the comment section if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards. How did you feel about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are there things about it that you would definitely change? And will you be purchasing the early days collection to get it? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps me out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed when I upload more content to the channel. Social media links are in the description box below, and you can check out the previous playlist and video for more. Thanks everyone for watching. HBJ signing out. Take care.